Keep your spine straight. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in. Hold it there. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Yo Antah Pravishya Mama Vacham Imam Prasuptam Sanjeevayatyakila Shakti Dharasvadhamna अन्यांश हस्तचरण श्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् समचरण सरोजम् सान्द्रनीलाम्बुदाभम् जघननिहितपाणिम् मण्डनम् मण्डनानाम् तरुणतुलसीमालाम् कन्धरम् कञ्जनेत्रम् सदयधवलहासम् विठ्ठलं चिन्तयामि विठ्ठलं चिन्तयामि. Pranams to the Lord. Pranams to all the Mahatmas in tonight's Eknathi Bhagawat session. We are seeing what Prabhuji is saying. As a seeker, what one must do. So, in the shloka which was stated before 380th OV, that explanation is still going on. And it's a third chapter. We are on page 169. Yesterday we saw 462 OV, which is going to tell us about the state of the mind, which is in equilibrium in face of opposites. So we are going to start from 463. Pleasure and suffering are dependent on destiny. And by our bodily actions in the past, our destinies accumulated and determined. Considering this, we should surrender to Guru and live in accordance with his advice. 464. The body is getting pain or pleasure according to the past karma. A foolish is affected by these opposites. But the disciple is a man behaving according to the advice of his preceptor, does not mind about both the sensations. 465. If we consider ourselves lucky, we get pleasure. Suddenly suffering follows that pleasure. Guru teaches the disciple about this changing phenomena and makes him free from his attachment and pride about his physical body. 466. A man who has no pride about anything does not feel unhappy by outer pain and does not become elated by pleasurable things. He is aloof in both conditions. 467. If strangely enough, shadow becomes hot and heat, it will be cooled by cold. Similarly, when the falsehood of pain and pleasure is understood, there is joy in whatever may come along. 468. The pain and pleasure do not affect us when we behave with balanced mind in the body according to its law. Only the disciples who follow the advice of the Guru can have this knowledge. 469. So there is a typo over there. This is not possible without having great faith. And without this knowledge, there cannot be a balanced state of mind in every circumstances. 470. So long as one firmly believes that he is body, the trouble brought by pain and pleasure also is very great. But bear in mind that for those who are free from this attachment, the opposites are simply null and void. 471. When a man awakens from sleep, his poverty or opulence, which he experienced in the dream, become false. Similarly, the devotees of Guru, becoming self-realized, never hear the names of the opposites. 472. The fasting and the breakfast in the games of children are all make believe things and equally fanciful. Similarly, if one follows the advice of the Guru and realize it in his life, then opposites are non-existing. 473. In the vicinity of sandalwood trees, even trees like berries and babool get some scent. Similarly, when the advice given by Guru is properly imbibed, the opposites of all kinds become ineffective, being unified in Atman. 474. Though woods around sandalwood tree are dry, they being scented, are used in the worship of gods or Brahmins. This is the greatness of good company. 475. The vicinity of Sadguru is the greatest opportunity of having this good company. This transforms the disciple into the state of Brahman. Then the opposites are turned into non-duality. 476. Now, I will tell you about the said advice of the Guru, by the power of which the duality of opposites is turned into one homogeneous unity. Sarvatratmeshwaran viksham kaivalyam maniketata vivikta chiravasanam santoshayena kenachit. Meaning of the verse, he should learn to see the Atman and God pervading all, to live in solitude without any sense of possession of any dwelling, to wear pure clothing and to feel satisfied with whatever he could get. 477. He believes in the word of the Guru and has faith that Paramatman is pervading everywhere, and he thinks with that inner conviction that 478, my body moves and talks because Paramatman dwells in me, and this entire universe is visible because of his spiritual light. 479. He believes that the universe can be seen by him, and Paramatman is very much evident in the shape of the seer, the seen, and the seen. 480. Whatever object becomes visible is having Atman in and out of it, and thus the whole nature is for him permeated by God. 481. He experiences Paramatman in every shape of being and believes that he is the God controlling the three worlds. 482. He has inspiration that he is conducting the universe by his power. He is the controller of death and time. He is the creator, maintainer, and the destroyer. This basic power naturally arises in him. 483. When he starts to look at the world from this point of view, it appears that he is in every object. At that time, the three factors of observer, the observing, and the object, which is observed, disappear, and ahankara, the ego, is melted. 484. Then there is a unity of the disciple and the Paramatman, and everywhere the trinity of existence, movement, and bliss reigns. This experience is at hand of the good disciple by the grace of Guru. 485. Then the statement that God is in Vaikuntha or God lives in an ocean of milk makes him doubt. 486. When there is not any place where God is not, the thinking that God is in at any particular place is not agreeable to the disciple. 487. He thinks that Paramatman, in whom the Vaikuntha and the milk of the ocean of milk exists in the reality, and to think God to be at Vaikuntha or ocean of milk is applicable to qualified Brahman only. 488. When Paramatman is wholly filled in everything, to call him a resident of a limited place will not be proper. He is absolute Brahman without a particular place and cannot be bound by Vaikuntha, etc. 489. To invoke the God who is everywhere, to give God a particular seat when he is the base and seat of everything, and to think that he should be given a royal throne when he is all pervading, all are the games of imagination. 490. But those who realize that our attitude to imagine like this is also of the nature of Brahman are never deviated from their state of Brahman. 491. If the seeker really desires to attain the state of Brahman, he must drop the idea of duality and remain alone at all times. 492. If in the effort the seeker feels a shortage of food or clothing, he should take the thin covering of plants, barks of trees, or should take the torn clothing thrown away by others. 493. He may eat roots or leaves, whatever are available, but he should not make any special efforts to secure good food or clothing by putting aside his penance. 494. He may very well beg for food by taking a cloth bag, but should not waste time at all for food and clothing. 495. A seeker who is wise enough does not hanker for or worry about his food or shelter because these things are given according to destiny and destiny takes his care. 496. The wise people know that though they may toil and moil day and night, they will not get a farthing without the grace of destiny. 497. Therefore, the seekers maintain themselves on whatever they get by luck, remain calm, and happily live according to the advice given by their Guru. 498. Pain and pleasure are coming to the bodies as the destiny decides, and whatever may happen, the seekers are happy because they have found how sweet is the advice which the Guru has given to them. 499. As the destiny directs, a man gets his food and clothes, but the mind of a seeker does not think of his body at all by neglecting the advice of his Guru. 500. He welcomes as best whatever is easily available without trying for it or begging for it. And with calm and quiet, happy mind, he takes it, trusting in the word of his Guru. 501. He does not try to get anything particular for maintaining his body. He is happy with whatever comes to his lot and is really joyful in his Atman. 502. He knows by experience that the seeker is always happy while suffering pain or getting pleasure by his faith in the Guru. 503. In order to have deeper faith in the advice of Guru, the disciple should study the Bhagavata way of life from his Guru. Shuddha Shraddham Bhagavate Shastre Anindamanyatra Chapihi Manova Karma Dandancha Satyam Shamadamavapi. Meaning of the verse, he should also learn to have faith in the scriptures, praising the Lord without disparaging other scriptures, and control his mind, words, and actions, and to be truthful and be able to control the senses and mind. 504. O King, know that the book which contains description of the physical body and adventures of God and about his all-pervading, immeasurable aspect, or the book which is dictated by God, or in which the virtues of gods are described. 505. The Bhagavata science is loved by such seekers more than their life. Even more, they love the part in which the divine knowledge is discussed. 506. They find very sweet the discussion of self-knowledge, which their Guru does, and that makes the devotion and faith in God deeper. That gives them such a satisfaction that their attraction to worldly objects dies down. 507. The objects of senses always prove to be impediments in the path of the seeker, though they have absolutely no interest in them, and they lament about these disturbances. 508. They find that attraction towards sense objects are really powerful and tenacious, and therefore they inwardly cry why such objects at all surround them. 509. For the seekers who are not enamored by sense objects, but cannot, by their feeble effort, save themselves from their snare, the scriptures have laid down certain rules. 510. These rules are meant for those who are not attached to objects, but are not free of the objects either. 511. There are two types of people who do not care for the dictates of scriptures. One who has sold himself out to sensual pleasures, and the other who is enjoying freedom. The latter recognizes the value of these rules of conduct, but as his ego is completely melted, he has no use of prohibitive rules of conduct. 512. These adepts consider the objects as fictitious as the water in a mirage. So, what rules of which scripture should he observe in order to conquer the non-existing sense objects? 513. So, the rules are not necessary, nor useful for those who indulge in the pleasures, and for those who have attained complete desirelessness. Thus, Only for the seekers, these rules are made. 514. There is understanding when there is a dialogue between the guru and the disciple, but distraction may create impediment in the understanding if attention is deviated towards object of senses. And scriptures give certain rules to prevent it. 515. There are three aspects of distraction. They are physical, pertaining to body, then those are pertaining to the speech, and those pertaining to action. The rules are also of three types for these three aspects. 516. Out of these, there is for the mind, the rule to keep control of mind, to keep it calm and peaceful. For organs, there is a suppression of enticements to objects. And for speech, the rule is to speak truth. 517. The elephant of desire for objects becomes wild by the intoxication of ego. And being powerful by the force of youth, he snaps the bondage of rules of conduct very easily. 518. This man, like the elephant, suddenly throws away the advice of friends or the king or the teacher. He holds by his trunk of ambition, even the heaven, and plunges deep in the dirty waters of hell again and again. 515. If at all he is washed clean by the pure waters of religious conduct, he does not waste a minute to put on his head the dirt of greed. He crushes below his feet all the authority of Lord Mahadeva and others, giving out wild slogans of me and minus. 520. There is only one about Mahot to control him: discrimination. Only he can climb over the head of this elephant, and by sharp board of strict rules of conduct, he can forcefully thwart his wildness. 521. He puts a watchman of asceticism on him, binds him by heavy chain of actual control of action, and tethers him to the pole of truth. 522. The objects of senses affect a man by his actions, by body, by speech, and by mind. There are three types of rules laid down for these three, O king. Please listen to the essence of these rules. I think we can pause over here. Do you have to? Yeah, we have 2 more minutes. Okay. 523. The Shama is the control of mind. What does this control do? It diverts the outward movement of intellect and mind and turns it to the spiritual way of living. 524. When the sun rises in the east, darkness vacates all the world. Similarly, when the peace of mind arises by the grace and the teachings of the Guru, the outer objects leave the mind of their own accord. 525. The help of the advice of Guru controls the tendencies and the urge of sense organs of the body. Actions of those organs are stopped. 526. As the daughter given in marriage leaves her father's family and the name also, so the organs leave the objects by the help of this control. 527. Now, as regards speech, they put the chain of truth around the feet of the speech and keep it steady and pure. 528. Some say that even Brahma and other gods pay respects to a man who speaks truth, and he who speaks lie suffers fall. But these observations are not true or apt enough. 529. Actually, taking the name of Ram continuously turns the speech really truthful, and it never loses itself in untruth. 530. Butter, once churned out, does not mix again in the buttermilk. Similarly, when the speech is purified by the utterance of the name of Ram, it is not touched by untruth any time. 531. Just as ghee melts easily when the sun rays makes it warm, similarly, face to face with the firmness of truth, the untruth fades away. 532. The common trees of Khair and berry never remain ordinary trees of ordinary quality of wood. They never are near the sandalwood tree, and they also become scented. Similarly, by the repetition of name of God, untruth automatically disappears. 533. As the fireflies fade away with a tiny light, as soon as the sun rises, similarly, by the force of the name of Ram, untruth disappears. 534. When, after the dark phase of moon of the last night of the month, the twilight is also over, the sunlight shines in the world. 535. Similarly, By defeating the untruth, the speech is expressed truthfully, just as the subjects of the king obey his laws in their lives. 536. There is no penance other than truth, and the path other than truth, because it is the truth which makes the reality possible. And it is by truth the seekers become guileless and sinless. 537. So, in the case of seeker who regulates his life by control of mind, control of organs and truth, the tenacious though the objects are, they disappear. 538. One should get oneself interested in Bhagavata way of life if he wishes for such welfare of himself. It is also important that he does not criticize other parts of scriptures. 539. This is because it is not right that one praises one thing and blames other. So, good seekers never indulge in the tendency to find fault with others. 540. Should we bow before the goddess Lakshmi because she is very close to Vishnu, the god? And should we castigate Ganga, which emerges from his feet? Should we bow before our own mother and have disrespect for others' mother? 541. No doubt. We should worship our deity to whom we are devoted, but we should be beyond praise and criticism. Only he who holds to the truth and observes silence becomes worthy of knowledge of Brahman. 542. But the devotees of Hari easily attain liberation without having to observe all these controls, etc., if they are faithful to God. So now we'll pause over here, and then tomorrow we can continue from 543. Some beautiful readings have happened. Huh? Today it's like, especially towards the end, those verses were so full. Anybody has any thoughts to share?
Like Bhagavad Gita, and particularly that verse, Uddhared Atmanatmanam. I think it applies to how we should control ourselves and how we should control our senses and how we should uplift ourselves. It is something that...
Yes, we understand. You are in clinic. We'll get back to you on the person you can. Anybody has any other thought?
This Bhagavata way of life, what does they mean by that? It means Bhagavata way of life is Srimad Bhagavatam or?
Yes, correct. Means Bhagwan's way of life.
Okay.
Bhagavan from that Bhagavat, in that sense. So what is a good life? How a good life has to be. So for a good life, the word, because this we are doing a Bhagavatam, so Bhagavatam way of life.
Okay.
If we are doing Ramayana, we'll say always the Rama Raja, the Rama is inside. In that sense, it will. Not the Bhagavatam. Any particular Ovi? Anybody struck with or awe-struck with any particular verse? All the verses. It is so nectarous now to read this, literally. Okay, if there are no thoughts, then shall we end the session? So tomorrow we would like to read. I'll put it in the group, in the WhatsApp group. We can take our slots over there. Please volunteer to read. Let's end today's session. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah Harihi Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om everyone. Thank you for joining. Let's meet tomorrow again.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.